So as an industry portfolio manager, I help industry and government connect to our researchers and give advice on who to speak to. I also develop up major proposals that involve industry and research collaborations, help with these events, and market our research capabilities. So that's why I'm going to talk about some of the models for engagement that industry can work with us. So the value proposition of industry working for Monash is accessing our intellectual capital and our human capital. We're the biggest university in Australia, so we've got great breadth of expertise and great depth, and world leading in many areas, in engineering, particularly in materials engineering. We can be flexible in the way that we work with you. So I put up some of these models here on the slides, just as illustrative purposes. The yellow ones represent accessing our intellectual capital. At the moment, we're developing these strategic alliances with a number of companies where we have a multi-project framework agreement. We negotiate the legal terms up front so that when we get to do a project, we just put that as in a schedule into the agreement and don't need to renegotiate the terms, and it speeds up the engagement. We do a lot of collaborative R&D projects, which can be enabled by a government grant, and also contract research. We can also license our technologies to industry. On the human capital side, industry can be involved in final year engineering student projects, and we have this Monash Industry Team Initiative, which where teams of highest performing students work in multidisciplinary teams over the summer vacation to solve a problem that's nominated by industry. Companies can also be involved in PhD student projects, and as Rico talked about before, in the GRIP, which is multiple PhD projects with industry relevant training to build our innovation skills for the future. Companies can also be co-located with R&D staff here on campus, and we can also come into your company and deliver tailored workshops or seminars that you need. So in terms of government grants, there's a whole range of federal and state grants that help to support industry research collaborations. So this is my work. I just did a plot, so it's not an official slide, but it's just illustrative, which shows that there are different grants of different amounts targeted at different things. So different parts of the research to commercialisation spectrum. Some of the projects are smaller, funding is more directed at projects or one-on-one interactions, and more schemes such as the ITRH or research hubs are more around clusters of companies using research to solve large-scale problems that will transform industries of the future. There's the R&D tax incentive, which has no limit, it goes off the scale of this chart. And then towards the commercialisation end, there's Accelerating Commercialisation and Future Industries Fund. I'm going to go into a bit more detail of each of those. Under the Australian Research Council, I meant to say there's actually a whole lot of other grants out there in different portfolios, like in defence and health and agriculture, which I haven't included, but these ones that I've put up are probably most relevant to this audience tonight. Linkage projects, smaller scale, 100K to 1.5 million, go for 2 to 5 years. The research hubs, it's a major collaborative program, usually has multiple research institutions, multiple companies, and it's around transforming industrial economies through transformative research, and they're in high priority industry sectors selected by the government, and also training centres, which is developing PhDs and postdocs in industry the skills for industries of the future. The Australian government also has grants for research connections, which is to promote mobility between industry and research. These are $50,000 grants which help small and medium enterprises collaborate with researchers, so to either fund some research at an institution or access infrastructure, or to have a research embedded in your company to work on a project. Accelerating commercialisation is for early stage commercialisation. It's generally not for research, but if it's relevant to bringing a product to market quickly, then it can be included. The $250,000 grants are for commercialisation offices of universities, and companies and startups can access up to $1 million grants. Cooperative research centres, there's the traditional CRCs which have been running for over 20 years, can be between 15 million and 50 or 60 million in size. Again, therefore solving large problems through large programs of research involving many partners. A new scheme that's coming on board early next year, we think, is the CRC projects. And these are to help SMEs better engage with the CRC program and are more focused projects that lead to tangible industry outcomes but solve an industry problem through research. For this scheme, at least one SME needs to be involved and at least one research institution, and it's up to $1 million a year per funding for 3 years. The Future Industries Fund, that's a $200 million program coming out of the Victorian government. We understand it will be late this year or early next year, and it has $500,000 grants for single company projects and $1 million grants for multiple companies. And its main focus is on generating jobs of the future and high-skilled jobs, but research can be engaged in that through innovation activities and new technologies and commercialisation and processes. And the Future Industries Fund will be directed to the 6 priority sectors nominated by the Victorian government. The R&D tax incentive, this is a company entitlement scheme through the tax system, and you can actually spend money at Monash on research and claim that through the ATO. You would need to get independent tax advice to access this scheme.